Today we're going to pose and animate Electra using the APEX rig built right into the character's geometry. APEX is a brand new context designed to deliver an animator-friendly environment, and this lesson is for any animator, even animators new to Houdini, who want to learn how they can benefit from this new set of tools. Okay, let's get started by setting up a Animate desktop. Now in here we're going to make a few changes. We're going to collapse the animation editor. Spacebar B will bring up the perspective view. And then we're going to turn off channel groups in this sidebar here, so we can focus on the channel list. Let's bring up the network view here and get started. Let's press Tab, type ELE, press Enter, and then press Enter again to place the character Electra into the scene. Use these spacebar view tools to tumble and track around. Double click down to the geometry level, which is where characters work in Houdini. Now, let's take this and use what would be the KinEffects way of doing things, which is KinEffects was when we first brought things down to the geometry level with characters. So we would plug this character into a bone deform and then set display. And then we can go Tab, Rig Pose, and place that here. And this rig pose exposes the skeleton within this character, and we can go in and pose the various joints and so on. And this is fine, but everything we're doing here is sort of forward kinematics. If you select, for instance, the pelvis and try to move it, you'll see there are no kinematics. The leg isn't anchored and so on. We would have to add that as a sort of separate thing. So let's delete that. Instead, we're going to do output APEX scene. And this is a version of the character that actually has its rig built into it. And we click on the animate tool there, and it creates a scene animate node, which exposes this rig, this APEX rig. We press escape. Even though we're on that node, we don't see it, but with the animate tool, we will see it. So we press this, and now when we click and drag on the various handles, we'll begin to get kinematics in areas like the arms and the legs. And we can now start to pose the character. So we can grab any handle here. Let's move the 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. And oh, there's the knee controls. Let's grab those. So the APEX rig that is embedded with this character has all these controls built into it. And so as an animator, I get this, I plug it into a scene animate, and I'm able to start working, posing, and everything's good. So if I press escape, again, it goes away. Animate tool there will bring it back. Now if I go to the object level, you'll see that the posing that I did does not exist. So everything that we did, the rig as well as the posing, is buried in the scene animate node. So if we go Tab and we can do APEX scene invoke and bring this node up, we can plug that in. Nothing happens at first, but we press this output all character shapes. This will basically extract the pose that we have out and make it available in ways that can be used in other parts of Houdini. So there it is at the object level, and here it is here. So whatever was sort of embedded in that scene animate node is now available. So if we go back to scene animate, we can go back to the posing of Electra. And there are some tools that will help us along to make this happen. And one of the biggest ones in here is something called selection sets. So if you look at this little panel here, this HUD, you'll see that there's all the controls of the character, essentially all the parameters. And one of the things that's interesting is if you note, when you select something here, you'll see it, but the parameter pane has nothing. So these parameters don't live in the traditional parameter pane method within Houdini. They live within the character, and they are exposed when you select things. You can pin all the controls, and then they'll all be available in the channel list on the side. or unpin them, in which case, and you can also change the display of all the handles through here. And if you unpin it, you can click and nothing will be scoped. And you can also do something where you select, let's say, these three handles. You'll see those, they're scoped in the channel list. And what you can do now is you can say, what I want to do is I want to make my own set out of this. So I'm going to go over to here, create from selection set, and it's called set 1. And we can change that. Let's give that a name of hands _ torso. There we go. And so now if I rotate that, all three of the things rotate at the same time, but that's not very useful. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to press Control-Shift, and now we can rotate around one of these, the last one selected. Now, probably make more sense to select around the inner one. So what we can do is we can bring up a panel called the Selection Set panel. And if we open up the hands, torso, and the base, we see there's the three things, and the yellow one is the one that's sort of in charge. We're going to change the primary control to the COG, which is in the middle. So now when we select this, that's where the handle is, and if we press Control-Shift, we would rotate around that center piece instead of the one on the side. And that can work sort of both ways there. Now, it's possible that another animator has worked on the same character and they have sets that they've saved out. So what we're going to do is we're going to import that and apply to Electra. And here we see a bunch of controls. There's one for blocking out, setting keyframes, so you can pin it and block it. You've got something for moving all the parts of the character together. And then you've got something for the upper body, which is similar to what we had with the hands and torso. And you've got the lower body. So these are controls that somebody else built for the same character, and they can be passed around and shared to make it easier to animate and work with a character. And you've got other details, like for instance, you've got the fingers, and you can just grab that and close the fingers like that. So the work that somebody else put into creating some selection sets become available to you in your scene. So that's pretty cool. So now that we have that, as you can see, we've even got controls for the clavicle. We go down to the foot. We can see we've got reverse foot controls. Actually, we want to do the heel here. So we're going to raise up the heel. And then inside here, we've got the ball, if we want to do sort of a reverse foot there. So there's little controls in there. And then we can begin to continue to pose the character. So you can go around and try out all the different handles and see what they do. And you'll be set up to pose and work with your character. Actually, let's flatten that. And just like we can do things in there, just remember the channel list actually allows us to go in and select that and just type in 0. So you've got that. You do have parameter control, but it's through the channel list, not the parameter pane. So let's just do Shift F1 and hide the tips on there. Those are very useful tips, and so you probably want them up for a while, but just to give us more visual space, we're going to hide them for now. And we're going to go in and let's add in a second version of Electra and see how we can work with two characters at the same time. So we're going to place the new one down, and let's set the display flag on that. Now, looks the same for now. Let's go to the parameter pane. Let's change it to a metallic version so we can differentiate between them. And this time we're going to do APEX character instead of APEX scene. So what APEX character means is that it's waiting to be named. You've got to add that character to the scene, whereas the first Electra was already part of a scene. So we're going to go in and we're going to go to animation. You can't see this. It's called rig tree. And we're going to see how the original Electra is set up. So it has electra.char, which is its name, the character's name, and all the pieces inside. Now if we do an Apex scene add, we can place that down and we can plug in the other character into the second input. Now this one is called scene add character. Okay, we don't want that. Let's change that to Futura. And now that's the name of that character. Then we can plug that into the chain, and now we have both of those characters in here together. If we go to scene animate and we go to pose, there they are, they're together. So now we can grab one of them. Let's get the wooden version, and let's take the metallic version and rotate it around so we can have them sort of interacting together. Okay, so once we have this, we can see that scene invoke isn't working yet, because what we need is to output all shapes. Okay, so now the second character is part of the scene invoke, so we'll have that later when we need it. And then we go back to the scene animate node, and we can begin setting some keyframes. Before we do that, let's do the selection set again. We added the selection set to the first character. We can do the same to the second character. So let's accept that. Say select character to apply to, and let's do the Futura character and accept. Now this second group is actually called Electra 2. We could rename it, but it's fine for now. So we have controls for all these various things, just exactly what we had before, but now assigned to this other character. So let's take the, let's unpin it for now. Let's select the all mover. And then we're going to press the shift key, and we're going to select the first character's center of gravity. And we're going to go to frame 10 and press K. We'll keyframe everything that is scoped, anything that's in the channel list. Now let's go to 75. And we're going to take this, and we're using Control Shift, raise everything up together, and press K. So, just like before, Control Shift will rotate everything, and instead of trying to rotate everything individually, it'll rotate everything as a group, and that gives us this cool look that we're getting here. So now that we have this, we can go to, for instance, frame 75, and let's start to just, we've got too many things selected. Undo. And deselect. So let's get these 2 feet, and we're going to rotate these down, and we're going to lift them. Now, because we've set keyframes here, any changes to the pose will be reflected in the keyframe. If we were not on top of a keyframe, then any posing we did would be ignored. Now we're going to press the shift key on this sort of null that we have at the shoulders, and this allows us with the Control Shift to rotate the whole arm out. And we're going to rotate that around, so we're going to shift select again, and then Control Shift to rotate that hand out. Rotate the hand around, this time just normally, just to get the pose that we're looking for here. Press Shift again, and Control Shift to just go down a little bit. In a way, with the Control Shift, we're able to almost do forward kinematics using our on top of our kinematic controls. So that's a pretty exciting capability here within Apex. So now we're going to just rotate this hand around. Now we're just posing this one. We haven't keyframed this yet. The only part of the original Electra character we've keyframed is the center of gravity. So let's go in. We're going to have this character is just sort of, okay, now that's not really moving. So what we want to do is we want to set some keyframes on the hand as well. So what we need to do is scope the original Electra character and use those scopes to, let's go to frame 75, which is where all the other parts are keyframed, and we're going to raise that up. Now we don't want to block it out with this version of the character. What we want to do is let's turn that off. Let's open up this, and we'll block the animation on the original. So this will allow us to keyframe the whole character. So we're going to keyframe a couple pieces here. And then we'll go back to frame 10. And of course, we need to keyframe here. And then that will allow us to, there we go, K. And that will allow us to sort of have the hand lifted and the body moving in reaction to the Futura character. Now we can rotate that a little bit more. We can grab the elbow, pull that down. There we go. And because we're doing this all on frame 75, we're just getting the posing right. And there we go. So now we have an animation of Futura lifting in the air and the original Electra reacting to that. And we go to Scene Invoke. We see there's what the animation looks like that we've made so far. Obviously, we could put a little bit more into other parts of the character, but this is a good beginning to our motion. So let's review what we've done so far. We brought in the Apex scene using the test geometry. We've also brought in a character and named it using these two nodes and combined them. We've used Scene Animate to pose and keyframe the character, and then Scene Invoke to extract that character out and get the scene that we want.